Welcome to Heaven on Earth. This presentation is about my involvement to help clear the cause of karma affecting the fallen angels and humanity to help open up heaven on earth. My story began in 2004 when Archangel Michael appeared before me asking me to write his book, which became Wisdom of the Guardian: Treasures from Archangel Michael to Change Your Life. And he asked me to join him in a healing practice. I agreed to both most effortlessly, not fully understanding what our end result was supposed to be, but he suited me up in armor, gave me a sword, a shield, and on one occasion, a demon appeared before me, and he did nothing, and I got rid of it and yelled at him, "Isn't that your job?" Not realizing that he was showing me that I had the power within me to clear demons. So this is the beginning of the old world to the beginning of heaven on earth. I'm going to share our origins of our karmic history, which began in heaven when Lucifer became arrogant and God asked Michael to remove him from heaven along with his followers, which began the karma of the fallen angels. They preceded Adam and Eve on earth, but Adam and Eve came to earth with the idea of bringing in the Christ consciousness or the God consciousness and lived in the Garden of Eden. At the time, there were other people who were here, and you've seen those stories as far as evolution. There were apparently a variety of ways of making humans and creation, and evolution was one of them, and Adam and Eve was a story and an introduction of the high conscious mind, bringing in the Christ consciousness to intermingle with the rest. God asked Adam and Eve actually, to not eat any apples from a particular tree, but in a matter of moments, in a moment of temptation, Eve partook of one of the apples, and Jesus even confirmed it was only a matter of a moment, and she succumbed to the temptation. But in taking of that apple, it began the fall of man. Unfortunately, they were banished from the garden. Sin, shame, and suffering. Karma of man begins, the sin of the father born upon the children. The ancestral karma also began. The following is the highlights of the clearing and rebalancing of that karmic history. In October of 2012, I was guided to go to Los Angeles. It was there I was told I would meet an individual who would make a difference in my life, having no idea that at this conference I was attending, I would meet the man who carried the soul of Lucifer. He invited my girlfriend and I out to dinner, along with another group, who he was also enrolling in a business conference the following weekend. We were guided to attend, and the week between that conference and the next one, during a regular meditation, instead of talking to me, God dictated a letter to Lucifer that I was to deliver to him the following weekend. It was inviting Lucifer back into the light, offering forgiveness with a strong suggestion he take advantage of this opportunity while it was offered. He didn't turn to the light at that time, but he was holding another conference in Las Vegas in December, and Michael asked me to attend that conference. He said it would help release a lot of people from hell, as well as help write the last chapter of the first book of life, the first volume. Just before 12, on 12/12/12, Archangel Michael announced to me, "The last chapter has been written, the first book is closed." When he first showed me this, he also showed me another book with a few chapters already beginning that new book, that new volume. Ever since then, I've never been able to get this watch going again, no matter if I change batteries or whatnot. It stopped before 12, it's never able to go again. 12, as you will see, is a pivotal number in spiritual healing, as it means completion, spiritual completion. So my work often revolved around the number 12. I went back to New Jersey, celebrated the holidays, went back into my regular practice, and things were going along as usual until we approached Holy Week in March 2013. A number of people were calling me saying, "God told me I needed to work with you right now. Archangel Michael suggested I work with you right now. I got it in meditation and need to work with you now. I feel compelled to work with you now." It was so specific that and so consistent, you knew there was no accident. Most of these people, however, it was evident that they had a connection to a lot of biblical history. I'm only going to include some of the highlights during Holy Week because they were significant, and it gives you a good broad base of some of the stories and the extent of healing that went into opening up heaven on earth. On that Monday was Passover. The story of Abraham and Isaac came up while we were guided to clear martyrdom. It was revealed that Satan was the one who was testing Abraham to see if he would sacrifice his son Isaac. It wasn't God. When I asked God afterwards, he said I didn't have to test Abraham, as I knew his heart. I confirmed that with a few other individuals, Jesus, Michael, colleagues who could also channel, and they all confirmed the same story. That story was one of the things that held me back from following my calling to serve God in my 20s, and as it turned out, it was a story that stopped many from serving God. On Wednesday, I was guided to clear oppression, and I was guided to invite one of my clients specifically to participate in this. When I opened the process, which I do over the telephone, I was reporting the news to this client and told him that I could see the globe with a tube being put into the center of the earth, and surrounding that tube, that opening, was a representative from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. A funnel of angels formed, and liquid light was poured into the center of the earth to release darkness, which came up through the funnel of angels, and the funnel of angels was there to protect all. And this liquid light came and also covered the circumference of the planet. It was so remarkable to see, and I've always wanted to have a painting done of it. It was so extraordinary. Upon completion of reporting the news to my client, I told him we just had to get off the telephone. We were complete. The next day, in my first session, a farmer appeared giving me a sapling, which turned out to be the new tree of life, which I now have a process to give to people energetically. That afternoon, I was guided to clear with suffering. And before doing anything, I was guided to get an apple. And as it turned out, we were going to clear, heal, and restore from the story of Adam and Eve. And I channeled a message from Eve that took about 25 minutes audibly. But the most pivotal line in that I will always forget. She says, I turned away from God once. How many times have you? And over the years of clearing for clients, I always see how often people have turned away from God and how much trouble they have in getting their prayers answered because they feel guilt. They know they've turned away from God. God's forgiven them, but they often haven't forgiven themselves. But there's still a lot of blame of Eve. I've had to clear it even today before I did this session. Jesus even said, when people look outside of themselves to answers, they are void within. When void within, they will be swayed by anything that makes sense at the time. Serving and satisfying the ego is simple. It doesn't take much more than a good argument. We look outside of ourselves regularly. God even said recently, we go on the internet more for answers than asking Him. That afternoon, we also had to clear the crucifixion. And God forgave all in regards to the crucifixion, and the rift between the Jews and the Christians were healed that day. The following day, which turned out to be Good Friday, I was guided to clear the serpent energy, and the wife of the gentleman I did oppression with volunteered to do this clearing with me as well. All I saw was black when I opened the session, and all we did was clear the darkness. When the time was up, I just closed. We got off the phone. But Michael had invited the husband and wife that participated that week in some of these pivotal clearings to join me on Saturday at Century 21 in New Jersey in a mall to buy new watches. We were allowed to buy them after 12. We could pick them out before, but we couldn't buy them until 12. We were online at 12:01 because I found my watch immediately, and then I helped him with getting his. Then we were guided to go meet his wife at Whole Foods. Her guidance was to buy apple cider and water, which is a spiritual process to rebalance the masculine and feminine energies. Michael gave me a toast that morning, aligned with the divine within your own heart to access all there is. At 12:12, we gave that toast. We chatted and parted ways. And the next thing I saw when I left were streams of light. This picture is beautiful, but as far as the depiction of light, it was massive. Humanity's karma as a whole was healed, and then Michael announced, today is the first day of heaven on earth. This happens to be a picture that I happen to paint of my vision of heaven on earth, but that whole occasion just blew me away. I had no idea that was coming. That night, my client called me and said, do you know that March 30th, 2013 adds up to a 12? So at 12/12/12, we opened up heaven on earth. The next day, Michael announced the earth ascended. The following day, God announced, I now own the world. People don't realize that people have empowered the darkness for so long, looked outside of themselves for so long, and the darkness also took advantage of everyone not looking within to God, looking outside of themselves, that the planet was run by darkness. So it wasn't God was ignoring people, it was that there was so much darkness competing with God, blocking your results, blocking your prayers. So now God owned the world again. On that following April, I was invited by the same gentleman who carried the soul of Lucifer to another event he was having in New York. The next day, Michael announced that the rift between he and Lucifer has been lifted. Lucifer turned to the light, and actually, Thanksgiving of 2016, upon complete forgiveness of Lucifer, he once again returned to the highest light, serving God. That August, however, of 2013, there was a significant day of clearing darkness and every soul having to choose which side of the camp they're going to be on. And Satan apparently slipped through the cracks, but Jesus, through a colleague of mine, said that Satan was discovered in Afghanistan, and Michael said that we had to do the last battle with Satan that Saturday at noon, August 10th. The army of God, everyone was aligned. Satan didn't choose to be reprocessed like Lucifer had chosen, but he chose to be transmuted or extinguished back into the light, which meant without a personality. Reprocessing is difficult. You have to review everything that you've ever done. Satan chose not to do that and was extinguished instead. On October 17th, 2014, I was guided to announce that Satan was no longer in power, but I could not do so until we removed a curse he had placed on humanity that they wouldn't know God. I've had to remove a number of curses Satan has put on humanity, including anyone that served God. They were blocked or harmed. After the Satan incident, we discovered that there were contracts with darkness that people had. I mean, that's not unusual. We've known that they existed, but also that we could take them and clear them at this point. But I also learned that contracts that had been taken out on people to undermine them, and a lot of light workers were the targets of those contracts. When I first discovered them, it was really discovering the contracts that were taken out on me. And when I cleared the ones taken out on me, Jesus appeared before me, showing the wounds to his arms healing. Since then, I've cleared numerous contracts taken out on light workers and many others. I've cleared lifetimes of persecution, torture, curses, spells, and black magic. It's amazing the history of our world and how dark it's been, and we had to clear all of that before the gates of heaven could open and ascension was truly available. Michael announced one day that Judgment Day would be considered September 14th, the day we gave up judgment. Many of these dates and occasions turned out to be very different than what I was led to believe and what I was taught growing up. A major day of ascension or rapture, some Christians are looking at an event, was Monday, September 28th, 2015. That major day of ascension, also considered the rapture, was one of a number of days of ascension or rapture. So much light was being poured into the planet that it will help people ascend. Then Michael announced on Tuesday, September 29th, 2015, that was the official first day of the New World. Then it wasn't until Monday on August 29th, 2016 at noon that God announced 3D, the fifth dimension, was split from the third dimension. The gates were closed, and God announced the trumpets sounded. The time of tribulation began. What is that? It is the time of trial and error. Walk alone or align with God. When you are aligned at the highest levels, doors open. Life is easy. Align with the intellect and ego and you struggle. You want to seek truth from within. When you go outside of yourself, you're giving your power away to others. This is an opportunity for you to experience firsthand which works better, surrendering to the source for the highest possibility, or going it alone. Doomsday is when the ego leads to darkness. The surrendering to the source leads you to light. You get to witness at this time which works better and choose. The possibility that exists for you now. The earlier you align with God, the less trial, the less tribulation. If you are not aligned to ego and darkness, you have nothing to fear. On October 16th, 2016, we released the remaining earthbound souls and set all free from the Holocaust. Again, it was noon, was the completion. I was guided to buy a watch. It was a gold watch, as you see here. And again, it was a momentous occasion. That's something I was guided to attend, participate in, clear, and the end result was a watch and a new occasion and a momentous occasion at that. So we have the qualities of heaven, which means the veil is thin to more easily connect with deceased relatives, angels, and ascended masters. A life of ease and effortlessness, a life where you experience peace, freedom, love, joy, and abundance. But how do you experience heaven on earth? To reach heaven on earth, first and foremost, you need a pure heart. You don't need to follow a man. You need to have a pure heart to ascend, to raise your vibration, to reach heaven on earth. It's a place you vibrate to, a place of consciousness. It's not a location other than it is on earth, but it's a level of consciousness that you need to attain. So how do you get there? You surrender to God. Fastest way to get there. Surrender to God. Let go, align with God. Within your heart, you access all there is, and life becomes easy. When you're surrendered to God, He can forgive everything, He can clear everything, He can open the door for everything. You live from your heart rather than your head. Come from a place of love. Let go of fear. Heaven on earth, it's not a place of darkness, it's not a place of fear. Totally different experience of the world. You live in the moment, and you follow divine inspiration. You remain detached from the drama, the news. You raise your vibration and work towards Christ consciousness. Jesus gave a great example of what that was. Let go of anything that brings imbalance. Return to and maintain a place of peace anytime out of balance. Forgive from your heart quickly and completely. Know you are one with all that exists. Some of the challenges that you might receive or experience, however, are your exposure to other people that are still in 3D, carrying and operating from 3D programming. You manifest everything in 5D faster, so good, better, and different. So if you're operating from low vibrating memories or you meet 3D people who bring you back into that old world, you will then operate in 3D again. And if you're in 5D but operating in 3D thinking, you're going to demonstrate whatever your worry and concern is faster, as well as any of your good thoughts you'll generate faster. You'll manifest them quicker, and you don't want to be doing the negative any faster for sure. Linear thinking is part of 3D. It's not part of 5D. You can change your existence on 5D totally differently. You don't have to go through certain steps the way you would do in 3D. Basing life on past experience and beliefs is part of 3D. When you tune into God and you ask for a solution, it can be remarkable and very varied and not anything you've ever thought of before. Life gets easy. The possibilities in 5D are extraordinary. No aging, disease, or death. Abundance, ideal location, relationships, and work. And as I said before, interaction with those in heaven is easier. There is so much more available in 5D. Many extraordinary experiences. We don't need to get into those. We just want you to be happy, healthy, abundant, be in the right relationships, live a life of joy and peace. You don't need to learn how to teleport or walk through walls, although that is available in 5D. The important thing is that you move from a world of struggle into a world of possibility. Success in all areas of life becomes easier. So this was a brief overview on what we had to clear in order to open up heaven on earth and the possibilities that await you now, should you let go of 3D thinking, vibrate higher to reach 5D and heaven on earth. For more details, however, I've put them in a book, Clear Your Past and Change Your Future, where I even share stories of God mentioning how he discovered himself in the beginning, his origins, darkness. We get into more detail on what was cleared, how it was cleared. I'm still clearing on behalf of humanity. I offer private sessions still, and I also do a monthly group clearing call on the first Saturday at 11:11 a.m. and we're finished by noon, in order to help you clear 3D through your fears, your limiting beliefs, any blocks and barriers and karma for you and your family, relatives, and ancestors. And each month there's a different topic that we add on to some of the basics, where we're clearing your energy, your karma, etc., to help you ascend. But in closing, a message from God on love. Unless and until people return to love, they will be lost. They wander, look outside of themselves, seek answers from others, and blame themselves or others. But the answer is love. The answer to everything is love. Seek the love within and share it with others. Until love is experienced, there will be lack. In love there is fullness and all there is. Without love, you seek and experience lack. That, my dear friends, is all you need. All you need is love. If you don't have love, you will not experience heaven on earth. Be of love, and you will have heaven on earth. And if you want to connect with me further, you are welcome to. I'm on social media, mostly on Facebook, but you can find me more readily in our private community on Facebook, Help from Heaven, where I try to answer more questions and also share some newsy bits, what I get from heaven, from them on things that are going on in the world as we speak. And so I welcome you there. We also have a Facebook page called, or a group called Heaven on Earth Day, for those of you who want to plan on celebrating Heaven on Earth with us. or in your own community to help spread the word that heaven on earth is here. It's a possibility for all. Most people don't understand it, so they can't necessarily embrace the ideas and know how to let go of the suffering they're experiencing and the struggle they have in order to embrace the success and the possibilities and soar with us in heaven on earth. So we invite you every March 30th to celebrate the anniversary of heaven on earth. And in between now and then, join us in help from heaven. May God bless.